Now, US President George W. Bush is going to begin his two-day visit to South Korea today as part of his Asia tour before attending the opening ceremony for the Beijing Olympics. Now, the visit comes after numerous protests in South Korea over US beef imports into the country. What's ahead for the relations between the two countries, especially on the economic front? We have Daniel So, regional economist at Forecast, and he joins us here on set. Great to have you with us today, Daniel. Everyone wants to know whether or not this FTA is salvageable. I mean, obviously Bush is going to make a last-ditch effort to get this through before he leaves the Oval Office in November. Do you think it is salvageable?
Actually, I don't think so, because right now the South Korea, the newly installed Lee administration will be more focused on shoring up public sentiment. So they will not risk to make any aggressive move at the moment. They want a majority in the assembly, so that they can push through any reforms, but they will still like to have opposition voice in the parliament to look more professional. And the left-wing civic groups and the labor unions are pretty strong, have strong clout in South Korea. So I think this thing will be more or less being pushed aside for a while.
If it is pushed aside, or even if it just doesn't fly at all, what are the economic downsides for both the South Korean economy and the US economy?
South Korea is using so far export to US has been falling. So the link between South Korea and US actually has been sort of decoupling. I would say that the risk of South Korea export rather to Asia emerging market like China, maybe in terms of consumer goods to China, because China strong fundamentals of consumer over there is going to buffer the slowdown in US or Europe. So the link between South Korea now is
like bad times seeming to go into one here in the region, that perhaps protectionist forces
sort of what you are trying to say. So I think the main reason about South Korea, the main priority of South to anchor inflation. And I just did a study on South Korea, and I think that the fears of the wage price spiral may be overblown. And unlike times of overheating right now, workers seeking a pay raise will more likely to get a layoff, rising unemployment, or even a further depressed demand. So
things are not looking good for the Korean economy right now.
Very bad. Actually, it's very, very bad. And the market seems to be factoring the 25 basis point rate hike as early as this coming Thursday, while I see no reason for BOK to endorse a hike in the benchmark rate for the year, because they are looking at more longer-term perspective into 2009, where South Korea is going to collapse. I wouldn't say collapse, maybe I would say that it's going to spiral downwards. And
Would recession be on the cards?
Not really on the card, but I think that so far the market has overlooked the risk of a global economic slowdown and the domino effect it has on Asia. And from the export figure, we have not seen any second half of this year.
How much has the weakness of the local currency been helping the export side, though?
In terms of the local currency, the oil importers so far has been withdrawing their bids because of the fall in oil prices. It's a good thing, but I think the foreign funds outflow in the region, because of the risk appetite is fairly poor, and foreign funds have been flowing out. So this is going to drag for a while, and this is going to put upward pressure on the pairing, the dollar won pairing. And right now, interest rate hike may not be as effective to contain the tradable inflation. So I think
haven't they? Thank you so much for joining us today with that conversation. Daniel So, regional economist at Forecast.